We're now inching closer and closer to the Scottish Cup final this Saturday. And honestly, what a time it is to be Jeff Schlupp. I mean, okay, let's not pretend he's been the main man lately. He hasn't exactly been racking up minutes or dominating headlines. And sure, maybe his long-term future at his current club is a bit uncertain, but let's just take a second and look at the bigger picture here. Because in the space of just 2 weekends, this guy might end up collecting not one but 2 domestic cup winners' medals. That's right. It started when he popped up on Instagram proudly showing off his FA Cup winners' medal with Crystal Palace. And yeah, that really made some people stop and go, wait a second, Jeff Schlupp FA Cup winner this season. But the thing is, he actually is part of that squad. And technically, he did play a full 13 minutes back in the third round against Stockport County. Hey, minutes are minutes, and that's all you need to qualify. He got out there, helped secure the win, and now he's got the medal to prove it. But now, looking ahead to Saturday, Schlupp has the chance to do something very few players have ever done. Win both the FA Cup and the Scottish Cup in the same season. It's one of those random, obscure football achievements that might end up in a pub quiz someday. Name the player who won both domestic cups in England and Scotland in the same season while barely playing in either campaign. I'm not saying Jeff Schlupp is becoming a trivia legend, but he's quietly writing himself into a very niche part of football history. On top of all that, the guy was spotted at King Power Stadium just a few days ago during Jamie Vardy's farewell. Leicester City gathered a bunch of their former heroes to say goodbye to Vardy as he played his final home match for the club. It is one of those moments where the past and present of the club all come together, and Jeff was there paying tribute. And of course, the whispers about Vardy moving to Celtic this summer are still swirling. Is it happening? Maybe, maybe not. But one way or another, it was a touching farewell, and it felt like the end of an era for the Foxes. Anyway, let's get back to the news of the day. There's a lot going on right now, and much of it has Celtic written all over it. Starting with the big one, the Scottish Cup final is officially sold out. That's right. No last-minute ticket drops. No miracle email saying you've won a seat. Every single ticket is gone. And look, if you've been following the buzz around this match, it's not hard to see why. Celtic versus Aberdeen at Hampden Park is the final game of the season, and the stakes couldn't be higher. The atmosphere is going to be electric. Now, there's been a bit of confusion online about how the ticket allocation has been split. Some people are claiming it's a 50-50 split between the two clubs, but from what we can tell, that's not entirely accurate. Aberdeen reportedly received around 20,000 tickets, and if Celtic got the same amount, that would leave a massive chunk of tickets, about 10,000, going to corporate or neutral fans, which feels unlikely. More probable is that the lower bowl might be split evenly while Celtic dominates most of the upper tier, especially the main stand. If you happen to have a seat in the Aberdeen section, let us know. Trying to piece together how this one's been divided is turning into a bit of a football mystery in itself. With all that being said, for those lucky enough to be at Hampton, you're in for something special. For everyone else, it'll be a case of finding the best screen available and hoping the broadcast does justice to the occasion. This is what we live for as football fans: big finals, packed stadiums, tension, passion, maybe a few nerves, and hopefully some magic moments. As for the team Brendan Rodgers is going to put out there, well, most of us have been playing manager in our heads since Trophy Day against St. Mirren, and it's fair to say we've probably already seen the core of what he's planning. You can bet your life that Schmeichel will be in goal. The back four, Johnston, Carter, Vickers-Scales, and Taylor, almost picked themselves at this point. In midfield, McGregor and Ingles are shoo-ins, and the real question is who fills that third spot. Is it going to be Paulo Bernardo or Luke McCowan? Up front, Maida will surely start on the left. Adam Ida through the middle, and the right wing spot is where things get interesting. Most fans will probably default to thinking it's going to be Nicholas Kuhn. But, and hear me out here, what if James Forrest gets a nod? And I'm not just saying that to stir things up. James Forrest is riding a wave of confidence right now. He's been brilliant recently, and you can see that he's full of energy, full of belief. He came on against St. Mirren and made a real impact. Before that, he was impressive at Pittodrie. And beyond just current form, there's the experience factor. This is a guy who has played in cup finals before, who scored in them, who knows what it means to wear the Celtic shirt on days like this. Off the top of my head, I think he scored in at least 3 League Cup finals. That kind of experience is gold dust in games like these. After last weekend's match, Brendan Rodgers was asked about Forrest and whether his performances had given the manager something to think about. Now you'd expect Rodgers to bat that question away to say he already knows what Forrest brings. And nothing's changed. But instead he admitted that they were using these games to evaluate every player and see who's ready. And that to me is telling. There's a real chance Forrest could start on Saturday, and honestly, I'd be all for it. The only other real debate is that midfield slot, Bernardo or McCowan. It's a tough call. Bernardo didn't exactly shine last weekend, but then again, no one really did. The whole team struggled a bit, so maybe it's unfair to judge him too harshly. Still, Adam Ida was full of praise for Bernardo, recently calling him one of the most technically gifted players in the squad. That kind of endorsement means something. I think I'd lean toward Bernardo with McCowan coming off the bench in the second half if needed. Bernardo seems to rise to big occasions. We've seen that before, and he might just be the man for a final. So yeah, if it were up to me, I'd keep 10 of the 11 players who started against St. Mirren with Forrest in for Kuhn. But hey, football is full of surprises. We'll see what Brendan decides. And speaking of surprises, there's been some unexpected chatter around Matt O'Reilly. It turns out he might be on the move again this summer. Brighton, the club that picked him up from Celtic, reportedly has interest from Bundesliga and Premier League sides. There was even a tweet about it from Fabrizio Romano, although that tweet has since been deleted. Bit odd, right? Maybe it was an error. Maybe something changed. But the fact that it was posted at all tells you there's definitely some smoke there. From Celtic's perspective, the key bit is that we've apparently got a selling clause. The details are a bit murky. It might be 10% of the overall fee or 10% of Brighton's profit. If it's the latter, and Brighton doesn't make much profit on the deal, then Celtic doesn't get much either. Same kind of setup we have with Jeremy Frimpong, by the way, so that's one to keep an eye on. Not directly related to Saturday's final, but definitely relevant for the club's finances. There was also an interesting appearance from Kasper Schmeichel on Celtic's official podcast recently. Now, I'll be honest, I was hoping for more Celtic talk, but most of the episode focused on his career with Leicester and the Danish national team. Still, when the conversation finally turned to Celtic, Schmeichel had some intriguing things to say. He was asked about Sinisalo, and while he didn't go overboard with the praise, he made it clear he wasn't surprised by how well Sinisalo performed. That kind of quiet confidence tells you there's real respect there. What caught my attention more though was how Schmeichel spoke about Scott Bain. He talked about how hard it is to be the third choice goalkeeper, showing up to every training session, every match doing the warm-ups, and never even making the squad. But Bain does it all with the right attitude. Schmeichel said he deserves all the credit in the world. And it reminded me of what Joe Hart said around this time last year when he was saying his goodbyes. He also singled out Bain, calling him the smile in his life, or something to that effect. That kind of praise from two top-level keepers tells you everything you need to know about Scott Bain's role behind the scenes. Alright, I'll pause here. Let me know when you're ready for the continuation, which will pick up with the Brendan Rodgers contract situation and Celtic's plans for next season. Let's pick it up from where we left off because there's still plenty to unpack, especially when it comes to Brendan Rodgers and his future with Celtic. Now, this didn't get a ton of attention over the weekend, probably because it was tucked away in a few quieter interviews, but Rodgers actually opened up a bit about his contract situation. Nothing dramatic, nothing explosive, but enough to raise some eyebrows and get people talking. He basically said that it's up to the club what happens next, and that maybe, just maybe, they'll feel like 3 years of Brendan is enough. And that's not to say he's looking to leave or that he's unhappy. Quite the opposite. He emphasized that what's most important is what's best for Celtic, and that he's going to sit down with Dermot Desmond over the summer to figure things out. And that's where things get interesting, because everything Rodgers has been saying lately points toward him wanting to stay, wanting to build something, especially with the changes coming to European football. He's been really open about how much he enjoys life in Glasgow, how settled he feels, and how much he values the trust the club has shown in him. Dermot Desmond brought him back when things were tough, and Rodgers seems genuinely proud of that. The trust and belief from the board seems to be fueling him, keeping him sharp and motivated. And if that relationship continues, there's no reason to think he won't be in charge for a good while yet. Europe is a huge part of that equation. Now, the new structure means Celtic will be guaranteed at least 8 league phase matches in Europe, whether that's in the Champions League or Europa League. That's a massive shift from the old format where you had 6 matches and it was all done by early December. Now the journey stretches into late January, and if you make it to the knockouts, even longer. That kind of consistent European exposure is not just exciting for the fans, it's essential for keeping someone like Rodgers fully invested. It gives him a real platform to test himself and the squad at a higher level, something that he's clearly hungry for. And let's be honest, for all the fears that linger from the last time he left, this feels different. There's a maturity to the way Rodgers talks about the club now. He's acknowledged the backlash from his first departure, admitted that. It stung, and seems determined not to make the same mistakes again. Of course, in football, you never say never. A big English club could come knocking. Circumstances change. But right now, nothing he said suggests he's got one eye on the exit. If anything, he seems locked in, focused on finishing the season strong, and then building for an even bigger one next year. So as we head into the final with the noise growing louder and the spotlight squarely on Celtic, there's a real sense of momentum building. And maybe, just maybe, this summer won't just be about silverware. It could be about securing the manager who can take this team to the next level, both at home and on the European stage. Before we proceed, subscribe to our channel and enable notifications to receive all exclusive news about Celtic FC. Don't miss any details about your favorite team. It's extremely important for Celtic FC fans. Jamie McGrath has officially signed a 4-year deal with Celtic, marking a significant move in both his career and the club's summer transfer strategy. The 28-year-old Irish midfielder, known for his vision, technical ability, and tireless work, ethic arrives at Parkhead as Brendan Rodgers looks to reshape and reinforce his squad ahead of the upcoming season. McGrath's journey to Celtic Park has been one of determination and consistent growth. After spells with St Mirren and more recently Aberdeen, where he impressed with his versatility and creativity in the middle of the park, McGrath now finds himself stepping onto one of the biggest stages in Scottish football. His performances in the Scottish Premiership have not gone unnoticed, and his ability to dictate tempo and contribute with key passes and goals made him a standout figure. Celtic's interest had been rumored for several months, and now it's official. The Republic of Ireland international is a boy. Supporters of the green and white will be eager to see how McGrath fits into Rodgers' plans. With his sharp footballing, intelligence, and composure on the ball, he's expected to bring an added layer of depth and dynamism to the midfield. At a time when Celtic are aiming to reclaim full domestic dominance and mount a serious challenge in European competitions, McGrath's signing is a signal of intent. The move also reflects Celtic's continued commitment to recruiting proven talent from within the Scottish game. McGrath, already familiar with the demands of the Premiership and accustomed to the intensity of Scottish football, will not require the kind of adaptation period that often accompanies signings from abroad. His maturity and experience at both club and international level could prove invaluable over the long season ahead. As Jamie McGrath pulls on the famous hoops for the first time, there's a growing sense of anticipation. Celtic fans, known for their passion and high expectations, will be watching closely as their new number steps onto the pitch. For McGrath, it's the opportunity of a lifetime, a chance to write his name into the storied history of one of the world's most iconic football clubs. Hello, fan! Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel, as it means a lot to Celtic FC. Also, share your opinion about the news in the comments below. See you in the next video.